Hello, come in, take a seat. Come on in, take a seat. Welcome to R'lyeh Expeditions. My name is Tam of R'lyeh, and I am really excited to talk to you all today about my channel and about what we offer here at R'lyeh Expeditions. So, by way of introduction, welcome. The thing for us today at R'lyeh Expeditions is that we wanted to create a safe harbour for people who are starting off on their role-playing journeys. So whether that is you're very new to the hobby and you want to start your first game and you're not sure where to begin, right down to if you're a seasoned veteran and you really want to play something different or new that you've never tried before, we're here to cater from those two extremes and everything within that spectrum. So in terms of what I bring to the table, so as a GM with over 25 years experience, I started playing D&D back in second edition, and ran my first game under 3.5, which was Ravenloft. So I will park that for the moment and talk a little bit more about Ravenloft towards the end of this video. And then took a hiatus, came back, and was absolutely enamored with coming back into 5.5 D&D and 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, in amongst everything else that I have had the opportunity to play or run. What I want to put out there, and I want to be really clear about this, is I'm not here to create a new community. I think that there is a lot of role-playing community out there at the moment, and I think that it's almost to the point where it's reaching almost saturation. What I want to do is actually be an ally to those groups and say, hey, you're really interested in this particular type of game. Maybe you should consult with this person who is a GM or this person who's a player, or watch these videos that are already out there on the internet. I have consumed a lot of media about role-playing and about the rules and crafting of role-playing games. But with this video, I want to give you my own perspectives, especially around things that I think that are very little covered. And I think that they should get a little bit more of a highlight. And I think that that may be useful to you with your own role-playing games. Having said a little bit about my history, I'm also system agnostic. So I think that it's important to highlight that while I just mentioned that my history and my background is in Call of Cthulhu and D&D, I do have and do want to play lots of other games. I have so many systems that I think are mechanically somewhat better than those two systems I just mentioned. But I also think that there is a lot of good that can come out of hybriding a little bit. So taking the best of breed from different systems and making your own system, or bringing in rules into your home brews that actually make sense, even though they come from just outside of your regular system of play. The other thing that I want to talk about, though, is predominantly what R'lyeh is and why I'm so adamant about we are not a community. So we are an ally to communities, not a community ourselves, but we are wanting to start and create safe spaces for gaming. Whether that is online, whether that is in person, whether that is at a convention, I want for those spaces that we create collectively, that journey that you and I are about to go on, to be about the fact that we want to create the best experience for everyone involved, whether that is the organizer of the event, whether that is the player, whether that is the GM, whether that is the content creator. I want everyone to get the best experience. And I think that by branding ourselves that way, to making ourselves a travel agent for role-playing rather than I'm here to tell you that this is the only way you can do things, is probably is where I think my strength lies. So having said that, what does that mean? So there are three tentacles coming off our logo and coming off our endeavor here with R'lyeh Expeditions. The first is talking about what I'm going to talk about is journeys. So journeys will be predominantly the videos that you see on this channel. So, what they will be is things about how to improve and handle your craft. So, I'm going to cover topics like what it is like to run at conventions and what you need to do, both as a GM and a player. I also want to talk about writing your own modules. I want to talk about adapting existing material, and also talk about some of the tricks that you can get around some of the older material where you might find something that's a little bit controversial or a bit ick. So I'm suddenly going to talk about that in more detail. The second thing I want to talk about is destinations. So destinations will be partly on this channel, but be probably more around the in-person events, which is where we're talking about a game or a theme. Probably more theme than game here. And the reason why I think destinations at this particular junction is so important and it's so timely for me is there has been a very big uptake recently around horror gaming, whether that is folk horror, whether that is the resurrection of the much awaited and much, I'm very excited that my Ride or Die is coming back, which is Ravenloft. Whether it is the atmospheric horror of Alien, I want to talk about horror gaming and how you can bring horror elements to your games or run horror games to the best of your ability. There is actually a lot of tricks and things that I have picked up on from being the fact that I read a lot of horror novels. I'm a horror novelist myself. I also have watched every horror movie ever made, even the really, really bad ones. So I've watched them so you don't have to. And what I want to talk about in that set of videos is that sort of inspiration, where you can draw inspiration from in order to make your horror games better. And of course, I'll obviously be doing this for other genres as well, but I just want to talk about the horror one initially because it is just so timely. Lastly, I want to talk about expeditions. So, expeditions is going to be, I call this our home base, our home office. What that will be is that will be a gaming space that has been specifically set up for to create atmosphere for your games. So that will be essentially an office that you'll come into that, depending on the type of game that you want to run, you can book a room that has been styled specifically for that. So to go back to our original statements about horror gaming, the gaming room that I'm looking for a horror game will have those elements to it. So it will have the gothic feel around the architecture. It'll have gothic resources. It'll have gothic styling. It'll have all of these things to make that the best experience for a horror game, including sound effects and atmosphere. So really driving home that this, when you're coming into that room and as you're coming into a game in that room, it is a horror game and that is what you're coming to play. Similarly, I'm looking at the same thing for a science fiction type theme. I'm also looking at it for like a pirates sort of seventh sea. Think about high fantasy ocean based theming. So there's going to be a number of these. I'm going to actually be putting out, when I start to form these, what sort of things people are looking for. And I think that that will come out of a lot of the conversations that we have going forward in the next year or so. So let's talk about the call to action for R'lyeh. So I have a very small call to action, which is at the moment I'm looking to hit 100 subscriptions by the end of the year. Now, considering that we are currently in March, I don't think that that is impossible, but I do think it is a ask to say, I want to engage with you. I want to be part of your journey and help you on your journey. So, what does that mean? Well, firstly, if you are interested in any of the topics that I have to talk about, please like my videos and subscribe to the channel. If you are a subscriber and you put commentary, and often I will respond back to say, or that may even form a video in my mind as to how, how I would approach something and answer some of your questions. The second is, I have been working conventions now for 5 years. across the east coast of Australia. I've been predominantly, obviously, in New South Wales and Victoria, but obviously can expand if I get invited to. And I am much looking forward to having those conversations with you, whether that is at your gaming table, at my gaming table, or out getting a caffeinated beverage in order to get through the next lot of gaming that you and I have to do. I am absolutely passionate about gaming. I have been passionate since I was a teenager, and that has never left. Lastly, if you like what we do, refer a friend. Just send a friend, say, hey, I think you might like what Tam of R'lyeh has to say about gaming, and she's got a little bit of a different take. So, having said that, just keep in mind we're going to be talking about new games to you, journeys, destinations, and expeditions. And lastly, you may see occasionally one of the cats at Uther running around behind me. I have tried to stop them from doing it, but you will see them. If you do see them, say hi. They are very friendly, but just don't allow for any cats of Saturn to join our videos. On that note, thank you. This is Tam from R'lyeh signing off. Until our next trip to the South Pacific, all the best.